Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel on human design. I'm Pragya Beneval, and recently I've been exploring the solar plexus center on my channel. Well, actually, I've only just made one video on it so far, but I intend to make loads more just because this is a topic that I'm really interested in thinking about these days and exploring with my network and also just studying about in general. So, if you're someone with a defined solar plexus or you are interested in understanding the solar plexus center itself, I recommend that you go check out the first video that I made on the solar plexus authority because it's going to set the foundation for everything that we're going to discuss today and also everything that we're going to build on in the next coming videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the different waves that are created out of the solar plexus motor center. And hopefully, by the end of this video, I can help you understand the nature of your own solar plexus, of your own wave, and help you begin to recognize your own emotional chemistry so much better. So let's get into it. As we discussed in the solar plexus authority video, the solar plexus center in human beings right now is primarily a motor center. It is a motor center that is in process of evolving into an awareness center. In other words, it generates, projects, and manifests emotional waves in a person who has a defined solar plexus. An emotional wave moves in a cyclical manner and expresses itself as a rise and fall in feelings, a rise and fall in nervousness, a rise and fall in emotions, a rise and fall in desires, a rise and fall in needs, a rise and fall in passion, a rise and fall in intimacy. We live in a primarily emotional world, and there's no consistency in the emotional environment that we experience because of this chemical emotional wave that is a reality in human beings. One of the things that I think we don't fully grasp about the solar plexus wave is how helpless we are in experiencing them. We know that the solar plexus is deeply correlated with the nervous system, and the brain releases hundreds of neurotransmitters in order to communicate with the rest of our body, in order to send signals to our body. These neurotransmitters play a huge role in our mood regulation, pleasure, and learning. Now, the thing to understand here is that someone that has a defined solar plexus center has a fixed and reliable way of processing these neurotransmitters within themselves. Whereas someone that has an undefined solar plexus center still has these neurotransmitters that are being released in their brain. However, they don't really have a fixed way of processing them within their system. And this wave that we talk about in a defined solar plexus center is the solar plexus center's way of dealing with their own emotional chemistry, is their way of dealing with their own neurobiology. So these solar plexus waves are chemical waves. These solar plexus waves are undeniable. These solar plexus waves cannot be controlled. These solar plexus waves cannot be stopped. There is only one thing that can be done with these chemical waves, that is accept them, to become more and more aware of them, and to understand how to navigate your life despite them. And if you're lucky and you learn to be patient with your own emotional chemistry and to wait for emotional clarity, then you might actually get to experience the depth of experience that you are here to have. However, that is a state that most emotional people struggle to get to. And it is understandable why it is difficult to wait, right? I mean, this neurochemistry is extremely potent in the way that it shows up. When we are flooded with dopamine, when we are flooded with serotonin, or when there is a lack of some of these neurotransmitters, then the experience of that is very felt. It's difficult to look at ourselves in this way, but we are alive because we are drugged up. And the balance of these chemicals is something that impacts our life quite deeply. A low mood is something that can push you into an action that isn't in your highest good. Or a really euphoric mood can also push you to accept things that you're not generally okay with. So, this neurochemistry actually has a deep, deep impact on every single one of us. And so it is understandable that the experience in an emotional being, the experience of going up in your wave, of coming down in your wave, of going from hope to pain is a difficult experience. And it can be very easy to act prematurely. It can be very easy to make decisions prematurely. However, I think this is the process that an emotional being is here to get better at, is here to learn about, is here to feel into, and over a time develop into someone that actually realizes the value of not acting on an impulse, that realizes that a lot of chaos is created when they act on an impulse, and also that they don't need to have the same relationship with time and life that other people do, that what is for them doesn't miss them, that life is not going to pass them by if they are patient with themselves and their experiences. In fact, actually, the experiences are going to get so much deeper and so much more spiritual and fulfilling in a sense when they do take their time, when they are patient with what they engage with. As an emotional being, the worst thing that you can do is to try to stop this wave, is to try to stop your system from processing life in a cyclical fashion, is to try to stop yourself from coming down. And I think that's the thing, right? You have these peak emotional experiences and you want to hold on to them, and you just want to do anything and everything in the world that you can in order to have those experiences again or to continue to stay at that peak emotional level. And when you're down, the feeling is very much like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get out of here. And I will do anything and everything in order to feel something different than what I am feeling right now. However, the only thing that you can do as an emotional being, as someone with a defined solar plexus, is to accept that this wave is undeniable within you, that it is actually a part of your process of being here, and that you have to learn that there is no truth in the now for you. If you're feeling really great, then you're going to come back to it. Or if you're feeling really bad, then you're going to come back to it. And actually, holding on to a certain emotional state is impossible. And if you try to do that with your mind, you're only going to experience more and more dysfunction and more dysregulation. And ultimately, when a human being tries to bypass its emotional wave by using its mind, what you're really doing is not living your life here on this planet. And we all know there is a special kind of suffering anyway. So, even when you try to mentally bypass your emotional states or try to hold on to certain emotional states, you don't actually experience true fulfillment, do you? The only way for you to experience true fulfillment is to accept your very nature and is to learn to live better with it, which is something that takes time. Ra always says this, that an emotional being learns about the impact of their wave and learns about patience and timing by falling on their face. Emotional folks learn about their own nature by experiencing tremendous amounts of failure and pain. If you're someone that has found themselves in human design, you have a huge opportunity to come to terms with your own nature and to learn to process life at your own pace and to see the result of that in your own life and the lives of those around you. Having said all of this, let's now quickly move into the different kinds of waves that are produced in the solar plexus center. The first wave, or the source wave within the solar plexus center, is the wave that is created out of the sixth gate in the solar plexus center. The sixth gate in the solar plexus center is actually responsible for all the emotional waves in the solar plexus center. In other words, all waves of the solar plexus center originate in the sixth gate. The emotional wave generated out of the sixth gate is a relatively stable and hidden wave. It is a wave that is stimulated or becomes apparent in interaction with others. It usually takes another person to bring this wave out for someone that has the channel of mating. I've often heard from people that have this channel that they don't necessarily feel like they are very emotional, but that sometimes that emotionality presents itself in unexpected ways. And that is exactly the nature of this wave. I wouldn't say that this is one of the most dramatic waves of the solar plexus center. It's actually quite stable until it's not. It actually feels like it's not there until it is. Something to also realize about this wave and this channel of mating, that this is the only pure emotional generating channel. And we know that generators are here to know themselves through what they have energy for. And specifically for someone that has this channel, they are here to know about themselves through what it is that brings out their capacity to break emotional barriers and to be intimate with others, or to create something that lasts a long time, preferably a lifetime. This is the channel of reproduction. This is the channel of mating. This is the channel of literally bringing more life into the world. Whether you do that through actually producing an offspring or you do that through producing creative projects. So, someone that has this wave as a part of their decision making has to realize that one, they have an exceptionally powerful aura and the capacity to break through the auras of other people, to break through the emotional barriers of other people. However, it is really important for them to allow themselves to get to a place of emotional clarity so that it's a win-win for everyone involved. I think what's really tricky about decision making with this particular wave is that when you do have this big fat energetic response in the moment, it's very hard to not move with that energy. It's very hard not to just go with the flow of that energy. And so, experientially, I think that someone that has this channel, someone that has this wave over a period of their life matures into taking things slower and slower and learning that an intimate relationship that is really good for them, that is going to bring them a deeper spiritual experience, that is going to bring them closer to their own truth, is not something that's going to pass them by. It's not something that they need to rush into. That yes, there's energy present in the moment and there is a response for this right now. But if it is really correct, that response will continue to be there over a period of time. And that it is healthy for them to learn to have the discipline of sleeping over things, of having patience, especially because developing the kind of intimacy that this channel is here to develop, it isn't something that you can get into now and leave tomorrow. Emotional intimacy goes deep. Mating goes really, really deep. Birthing a creative process is an exceptionally deep process. And so it is really beneficial for someone that has this channel to learn to be patient with their own feelings and their own response, and to know that nothing that is truly for them is going to pass them by. Now, coming to the tribal waves that originate out of the solar plexus center, these tribal waves originate out of the 37th gate and the 49th gate. Both of the waves generated out of these gates are called ratcheting waves. In other words, these are emotional waves that slowly crank up to the point of explosion. And the way that Ra explains the pattern of these waves is that he says that it's like taking 2 steps back and 1 step forward, and 2 steps back and 1 step forward until you reach a point of explosion or clarity. And because these are tribal waves, the emotional clarity has a lot to do with the needs of the tribe. The physical, the emotional, the material, the spiritual needs of the tribe and its members. I personally grew up with my dad having both the channel of synthesis as well as the channel of community, and my mother also having the channel of community. So I have a lot of personal experience of amplifying these tribal waves and distorting them within my system. And over a period of time, realizing how they work, I notice with both my parents that they tend to ruminate on their life's experiences slowly and don't react immediately on things, but that things build up within them, that the emotional reaction builds up within them over a period of time. And when it builds up in them, they eventually reach this place where they can really lose it and everything can come pouring out. And it almost seems like, well, why couldn't you just tell me that you were annoyed about that thing, or that that thing bothered you when it happened? Like, oh, that thing that you did at that point of time annoyed me. And it's not even about that thing that you did at that point of time annoyed me. It's that you violated a principle of the tribe, that what you did was against our very values, that what you did doesn't match up to the bargain, right? So for them, it's a deep emotional process of ruminating over what happened, the experience that they had, and if it really matched their emotional spirit, if it really matched the experience that they want to have for themselves within their tribe and the experience that they want other people to have in their tribe, right? And there is a kind of brutality to violating those tribal principles, to violating those tribal bargains, and that nothing is left unseen, even though in the moment it seems like, oh, that wasn't a big deal. But it always ends up circling back, it always ends up coming out at that point of either emotional explosion when they're really, really upset and everything is kind of added up, and now the pressure cooker can't help but release all the steam. And affection actually also comes through in a similar way. I don't experience my parents to be very touchy at every point in their wave, but the affection comes through, and comes through in a similar way where it can't help but be expressed. My dad is going to go out and buy all the foods that we love to eat, and is going to be very affectionate and caring in that way. And my mom is going to be affectionate in her own way, in the way that she brushes my hair or gives me a hug or does an act of service for me. So it's not just that the wave cranks up and always explodes through negative emotions, although that can very much be the case. There can be a lot of anger in this wave, in this explosion. There can be a lot of rejection in this wave. There can be a big emotional outburst, but there can also be kind of an outburst of affection that I've experienced. Now, from my experience of noticing their process pretty much all my life, what I've realized is that when they slowly ratchet up and the explosion happens, the clarity always comes afterwards, because the pressure of their emotional experience that they were ruminating on, that was slowly cranking up within them, is released. And once the pressure is released, they can come back to a rather neutral place, an emotionally neutral place, which isn't really neutral, but a place of clarity within themselves about what it is that they were responsible for, what it is that the other person was responsible for, how can things be done differently so that there's more success in the experience that we have together. So the conversation of what the truth is, or the confrontation of what the truth was in the situation, almost always has to come after the explosion point, has to come after the peak point. And if they try to make a decision about anything when they are slowly cranking up, that things don't necessarily go well for them. And I have seen there in this wave, there can be potential for a lot of violence and aggression. And sometimes acting on that is something that can be a very shameful experience for someone that has this tribal wave. You can act on the explosion, you can act on the adrenal pressure, you can act on the chemical mix of neurotransmitters just cranking you the heck up. And when once the explosion is over, you come to a more clear place within yourself and you realize, wow, that isn't really representative of me. And actually, I wish I hadn't acted in that way. So, what I've seen within my parents is that time has helped them view the impact of their impulsive action, and that they've realized over a period of time that when you are cranking up, it's better to take your time and space away. Because if you are going to be around others, that it is so easy to explode on them and then go through this process of feeling shameful about the way things happen. So I've watched my dad isolate himself. I have watched my dad over a period of time move that energy to work. So, like, physically expel that energy. My mom loves to go for a walk. So, I have noticed that the process of both my parents has actually matured and evolved over time a lot. Overall, if I can say something about emotional clarity and the tribal wave, from what I have seen in my real life experience, is that emotional clarity takes a bit of time. The feelings gnaw at you, the feelings crank up, they go down. You feel good about something, you feel bad about something. You try to work with the feelings that you have in your own perception. And at a certain point, there is this explosion of confrontation that happens. And the actual clarity of the situation is something that actually reveals itself after that peak moment. after the explosive confrontation. And in my experience, there's very little that you can do to avoid that explosive confrontation. Does the quality of confrontation change over a period of time? Yes. 100%. That is something that I have witnessed happening. But confrontation with this wave, in my experience, is still an explosive one. And there's really nothing that you can do other than accept the ratcheting nature of this emotional wave, and that there is no way to smoothen out the edges. There's no way to stop this wave from cranking up. It will crank up and there will be a confrontation, but it doesn't have to be ugly. It doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to lead to shame, and it doesn't have to lead to pain either. The individual wave originating out of the 55th gate and the 22nd gate is a wave that spikes up and down. So it's a wave that moves at a certain level. It can be slightly melancholic, as we know that the nature of individual circuitry involves a lot of melancholy, which is a result of mutation. So it's a wave that is slightly melancholic, so slightly low, or feeling slightly good, that's above the baseline. And then it spikes. It either spikes up with passion or it spikes down with passion. Sometimes these people can come across as unemotional when they're just kind of either slightly above the baseline or slightly below the baseline. And it's like, oh, we're kind of like at this constant level, emotionally speaking, until suddenly you experience this burst of moodiness, this deep emoting that comes through them. The way that I experience these waves, and by the way, I have both the 55th gate as well as the 22nd gate, and I live in a house full of emotionals, so I'm constantly emotionally conditioned. The way that I experience these frequencies is that I can have random bursts of moodiness that can either fill me up with spirit or make me feel like there is no spirit in anything. I think that's the 55th. It's like either there's an immense amount of emotional, spiritual abundance in my experience, or there is a complete sense of being devoid of spirit in my experience. Either I'm passionately engaging with my creative pursuits in life, or there is a complete lack of passion. And it's not like it's always in these two extremes for me. Like I said, there is a baseline of feeling like slightly bummed or feeling slightly better than usual. And then in the middle, I have these like creative bursts or deeply melancholic phases in which it feels like I might as well be dead because there's just no spirit inside me and there is no spirit that I can hear in life outside of myself. The nature of this circuitry is also deeply acoustic. So when the mood is up, when the wave is up, when the feeling is good, it is that feeling of violence playing around you, even though there are no violence being playing around. It is that feeling of being like the main character in the movie and having a background song. But when you go down, when you spike down, it's a painful, deeply, deeply painful, spiritless experience. It's an emptiness. Melancholy isn't really a depressive feeling, it's the lack of feeling altogether and the feeling that you might never feel again. Decision making with this wave can be tricky because you don't know till you know. And when you know, it's hard to wait. My experience, and again, my authority is not emotional. I can describe to you the experience of the emotionality that I have within myself by virtue of having these dormant gates that are constantly conditioned. But I don't make decisions as an emotional person. That's not my process. But what I have witnessed about decision making with this process is that you have to learn to be patient with yourself during the time when you don't know, during the time when the passion is completely missing. And it almost feels like it may never return again. And even when you do have that knowing, that perhaps letting that knowing develop into a much deeper knowing over a little bit of time is probably super beneficial. That just because you know doesn't mean that you need to act on it right now. And finally, the collective emotional waves that originate from the 30th gate and the 36th gate in the solar plexus center. These collective abstract waves are crashing waves and have a lot to do with collective desires. The collective abstract process is an experience seeking process. This is an experiential process through which humanity gains experience and progresses in its emotional experiences on this planet. This is where stories are made. This is where the plot line thickens. This is where human beings do something that they have never done before, even though it may not be the logical thing to do. But they do so because they have this deep seated desire to experience something new within themselves. This wave is experienced as a crashing wave because it begins with having a desire, having a fantasy, and slowly building expectations and attachment to how that fantasy will fulfill itself. And when that fantasy doesn't actually meet the actual real lived experience, the wave crashes because of experiencing a deep sense of disappointment. In my experience, of what I've noticed from the people that have either the channel of recognition or transitoriness is that even when they do wait for clarity and wait for the nervousness around a decision to settle, that the real clarity for them actually comes through retrospectively. That unfortunately, at least from what I'm seeing, these are people that have to fuck around and find out and learn through their life's experiences retrospectively what it is that is deeply fulfilling for them or not. In some way, you can say that the collective abstract waves are actually rather long emotional waves, and the clarity about whether an experience was a deeply fulfilling experience for you and as a result for the collective or not is something that reveals itself over a long period of time. One thing I can say that I think can be helpful when making decisions as a collective emotional person is that when you notice a rise of expectations in relationship to something, that is probably not the best time to make a decision. And it is also not the best time to make a decision when everything is crashing down and you're experiencing extreme disappointment. Clarity for you is something that is going to arrive over a period of time, and it is advisable for you to let these extreme emotional states pass so that you can reach a place of deeper maturity within your emotional experience. In general, whether you have the source wave in your design, or you have a tribal wave in your design, or you have an individual wave, or you have a collective wave, or you have a combination of many, what can be said for sure is that it is important for you to not make impulsive decisions. It is important for you to sleep on things. it is important for you to notice the emotional nervousness that you have within your system and to ensure that you don't make a decision from that place of nervousness, that you actually wait for your decision to mature within you. You actually wait for the sensory information within your system to develop into emotional clarity, and that you proceed in taking the action that you want to take from that place of clarity rather than an impulse. Take it slow, my friends, so that you can live a life full of spirit and depth. That brings us to the end of this video. If you're an emotional person and you have been reflecting on the patterns of your wave, I would absolutely love to hear from you what you've observed. And if there's anything else that you wanted to add to the conversation, I'm always looking to learn from other people and want this channel to be a place where people can have genuinely meaningful conversations and communicate not just with me, but with each other. So do leave a comment down below if there's anything that you wanted to share or say, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do intend to continue uploading more and more content. And hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.